Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Leviticus. Today we are beginning to look at Leviticus chapter 17, and this moves us into a new section of the book of Leviticus. Remember, we spent the last several days looking at chapter 16, the center of the book, which dealt with the Day of Atonement. But now we move into the section of Leviticus covering several chapters that is generally referred to as the Holiness Code. The Holiness Code. Because in this section there is a heavy emphasis to the children of Israel that you are to be holy. You are to be holy. Let me just read one verse to you that comes from this section, and this emphasis is sprinkled throughout the entire section. I'm going to read chapter 19, verse 1. And the Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the entire assembly of Israel, all the people, and say to them, Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy." Now this is the emphasis of all these chapters. You are to be a holy people, for I am your God, and I am holy. Now keep in mind that holiness means to be set apart, to be separate, to be distinct. God is holy because He alone is God. There is no other. He is God, and He will have no rivals. God is utterly distinct, unique. You see, He alone is God. And as His people, we are to be distinct from the other peoples. We are to be set apart. And so God is saying to the Israelites, you are to be a different kind of people, unique from the other peoples around you, because you belong to me. You are mine. And therefore, the way you live and the way you conduct yourselves, the tenor of your life, is to reflect the fact that you belong to me. You are set apart for me. Be holy, because I, the Lord, am holy. Let me also read another verse to you from chapter 18, which expresses the same thought in a slightly different way. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say, I am the Lord your God. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live. And you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices." You see, you are to be set apart from the other peoples, from the Egyptians, from among whom I redeemed you. And you are to be set apart from the Canaanites, the land into which I will bring you. You are to be a different kind of people, because you are my people. I am the Lord your God. I am holy. So you be holy too. Be set apart. So all of these chapters deal with this matter of holiness, or being different from the other peoples, the peoples around you, because you belong to me. And your life lives as a witness, as a testimony to who I am as your God. Now in this section, we're going to see a number of laws that relate to purity. We're going to see some things that relate to the priesthood, how the priests maintain themselves as holy. And we're going to see some laws that relate to the festivals, the annual observances Israel will practice to remind themselves they belong to God and they are to be set apart for God. So the first few chapters, chapters 17, 18, 19, and 20, are going to deal with some of the laws of purity. Now you remember that in the chapters immediately preceding the Day of Atonement, chapter 16, we saw some laws of ritual purity, about how you must be ritually clean to enter the tabernacle of God, to worship God. Those are slightly different than the laws we're going to look at now, because these are laws of moral purity. Now, that first section dealt with laws of ritual purity. This section we're now looking at deals with laws of moral purity. And we see quite a distinction between them. You remember the matters of ritual purity. You could become unclean and unable to enter the tabernacle for a certain amount of time by a variety of ways. But you recall these were easily dealt with. Sometimes you were just unclean for a certain amount of time, sometimes just till the evening. But always you could bring a sacrifice and make yourself clean again by the offering of the right kind of sacrifice. They were easily dealt with because they were matters of ritual uncleanness. Remember, we said these were not sins in and of themselves. They were just things that made you ritually unclean, and by the proper sacrifice, the proper ritual, you would become clean again. However, that is not the case with these moral laws. These are much more serious. These are matters of sin. And so not only must God's people be ritually clean in order to worship, but they must be morally clean. And this has to do with the kind of lifestyle you live. And so we're going to see some of the laws relate to how you worship. Some of the laws relate to sexual activities and practices that are prohibited to God's people. Some of them relate to social justice laws and how you treat other people. So all these laws have to do with morality and how you live as a moral people of God and as a holy people of God. So in our next session, we'll begin to look at these in some detail. But for now, we just hold to this principle of the Bible that the people of God must be a holy people, set apart because we worship He who is holy. God is holy, so His people also must be holy. Join us tomorrow as we continue our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Leviticus.